Good afternoon and welcome to Lunchtime News here on TV1. I am Disal Kapuge for News First, the voice of the people. Before we take a look at the stories, let's first cross over to the headlines.
President says domestic debt restructuring will go ahead.
එක එක අය තුවක්කුවක් දාලා ඔලුවට කියන්න බෑ මේක කරොත් මේක කඩා වැටෙනවා කොටස් වෙළඳ පොලේ කියනවා කොටස් වෙළඳ පොල කඩා වැටෙනවා කියලා කඩා වැටුනොත් මම ඒක වහන්න එච්චරයි තියෙන්නේ.
Sri Lanka files action in Singapore court seeking compensation for damages caused by Express Pearl disaster. Multiple factions opposed the proposed anti-terrorism bill. First group of Sri Lankans successfully evacuated from Sudan.
Now in your top story, leaflets were distributed opposite the Setsiri Pier in Battaramulla as part of another phase of the protest demanding to withdraw the anti-terrorism bill and provide concession to the people. The campaign was organized by the trade union collective.
මේ ආණ්ඩුව මේ රටේ ජනතාවගේ භාෂණයේ නිදහස අදහස් පළ කිරීමේ නිදහස එකතු වීමේ නිදහස
The Ranil Rajapaksa government is preparing to take away freedom of speech, freedom of expression and assembly of the people of this country by bringing in various pieces of legislation. We demand the Ranil Rajapaksa government to take back these legislation. If not, the working masses will rally to defeat them.
පරාජය කරන්න මේ රටේ සමස්ත වැඩ කරන පන්තියත් මහත් ජනතාවත් එකතු කරලා අපි මේක පරාජය කරනවා.
Leaflets were distributed opposite the Colombo Fort railway station to create awareness about the anti-terrorism bill.
Perhaps the government has taken this back due to Hartal in the north, or because of the heavy opposition from our end, they may have taken it back. However, we would like to say that there is no point in taking it back now. This needs to be abolished. We say there is no requirement for an anti-terrorism bill because the focus of it is to suppress the people and the trade unions.
අපේ රට එපා කියන කාරණාවයි අපි කියන්නේ මොකද ඒකෙන් කරන්නේ මහජනයාව සහ වෘත්ති සමිති මර්ධනය කරන එක.
Vijayadas Rajapaksa as the Minister of Justice says every day that he will table the bill tomorrow, the next day, and then he will again postpone it for 2 weeks. Now yesterday they said that this will be postponed for another 3 weeks. We say don't wait 3 weeks, abolish this immediately.
Attorney Manoj Nanayakara from People's Tomorrow said the government will never be allowed to pass the proposed anti-terrorism bill.
Media institutions will come under the influence of the government. No one can disregard that fact. As a recommendation, we propose to establish a commission of inquiry to probe the assassinations, harassments, assaults, enforced disappearances, abductions and other crimes on journalists. That needs to include selected people from the media to solve those issues and solve the issues that may arise in the future.
The Sri Lanka Working Journalists Association launched a research report in Colombo on the protection of journalists who reported on the people's struggle.
Media institutions will come under the influence of the government. No one can disregard that fact. As a recommendation, we propose to establish a commission of inquiry to probe the assassinations, harassments, assaults, enforced disappearances, abductions and other crimes on journalists. That needs to include selected people from the media to solve those issues and solve the issues that may arise in the future.
Sri Lanka's Attorney General's department said that legal action was filed with a court in Singapore to claim compensation for the damages caused by the Express Pearl maritime disaster in the Sea of Sri Lanka. Attorney General Sanjay Rajaratnam told News First that the case was filed through a law firm in Singapore. He further stated that the court will be informed about the compensation amount in the future. He also said that a detailed report has been called for from the Marine Environment Protection Authority to make the compensation claim. The Attorney General Sanjay Rajaratnam The Express Pearl incident is the worst maritime disaster to have struck Sri Lanka. It has had a significant impact on Sri Lanka's sensitive coastal environment, local communities and the economy. The Express Pearl was carrying 1,486 containers when it caught fire off the Colombo port on the 20th of May 2021 and began sinking. The cargo aboard the ill-fated Singapore flagged vessel included 25 metric tons of nitric acid. A plethora of marine life of Sri Lanka were affected and scores of marine animals died as a result of this disaster. Experts opine that the damage caused of the marine environment, or to the marine environment rather, in the sea of Sri Lanka will be experienced for centuries to come. Now moving on with the news, Sri Lankan President Ranil Wickremesinghe told Parliament on Wednesday the 26th today that domestic debt restructuring will not be suspended even if banking services and the stock market collapses. He was speaking during the debate in Parliament over the EFF facility ordered or offered by the IMF.
Sri Lanka's total debt is 83.6 billion US dollars. Foreign debt amounts to 41.5 billion US dollars. Domestic debt amounts to 42 billion. The total debt is 83.6 billion dollars. We need to restructure the debt. We will be launching negotiations with foreign creditors. They have informed us to discuss about domestic debt restructuring as well. We have not reached a final decision. Some banks say they cannot face the situation. Then all I have to say is take over this responsibility and carry forward the economy. People cannot place the gun on the head and say certain measures will lead to a collapse. The stock market says that it will collapse. If that happens, I will close it down. They cannot come and speak about conditions now. Let the Parliament decide and then we can tell them what needs to be done. There was a question on the EPF. We will not harm the EPF members. We have no alternative except for the IMF. No one has proposed for any such program. In the absence of a working alternative, our option is to approve this. I would like to tell the MPs from the SJB that even when they were in the UNP, we always wanted to work with the IMF. We have a program and both sides must accept it. I would like to call for all to work together and pass this. Since the IMF team will be here every 6 months, we can discuss the issues as well. Some trade unions have raised concerns over the tax policy and those can be discussed and solved during the next 6 months review. Thereafter, let us join and prepare a national policy framework. Let the entire parliament become the government.
අපි ඔක්කොම එකතු වෙලා එක ජාතික ප්‍රතිපත්ති රාමුවක් හදමු. එහෙනම් මුළු පාර්ලිමේන්තුවම ආණ්ඩුවක් බවට පත් වෙමු. අර ප්‍රකාශයක් තියෙනවා you have to walk the talk.
You have to walk the talk. Issues can arise in the implementation of some of the proposals that you made. The appointment of the Finance Committee is delayed continuously. They appoint one of their own as a pro-term chairman and get all the paperwork approved. The destination mentioned in your comments and the present process are contradicting each other. We are prepared to support what is right. However, we cannot turn a blind eye to what is wrong. Cope and COPA position should have been given to Iran and Kabir. There is no point in passing paperwork like this.
ජනතාව වෙනුවෙන් මොකද? අහගෙන ඉන්නවා. රට වෙනුවෙන් අහගෙන ඉන්නවා. රට වෙනුවෙන් අනේ කේන්දනේ අහගෙන ඉන්න. අනේ තමුන්නාන්සලා තුන් කාලකට මේ ජනාධිපතිතුමා කිව්ව දේ තේරෙන්නේ නැහනේ හලෝ. මොන පිස්සු කතා. මොකද extended fund facility කියන්නේ? දන්නක හැම්මලක් නැහැ. මොලේ කලදක් නැහැ. ජනාධිපතිතුමා මේ පැත්තේ ඉන්නකොට බැසිල් රාජපක්ෂට ඇඟිල්ල දික් කළා කිව්වා IMF එකත් එක්ක කරන කතා ටික සභාගත කරන්න කියලා.
When the president was in the opposition, he pointed the finger at Basil Rajapaksa and said to table discussions with the IMF, who said that approaching the IMF was betraying the nation and that it would destroy the country. None of those government understand anything. They raise their hands for whatever the president says. The president smiles, says it all. The president knows everything about you.
ඊළඟට තියෙන 27 යටතේ ප්‍රශ්න අහන්න. ඉතින් අපි ලෑස්ති නෑ තුමා කියන හැමදේම අහගෙන ඉන්න.
ජනාධිපතිතුමාගේ hinaවෙම තියෙනවා ඔයාලට දක්වන ප්‍රතිචාරය. ජනාධිපතිතුමා දන්නවාගේ පැටිකිරිය. හරි.
විවාදය කරගෙන යනවානේ.
ජනාධිපතිතුමාට වැඩ කරන්න ඉස්සලා අපි වැඩ කරේ හලෝ.
අනවශ්‍ය. හරි.
ගරු ජනාධිපති මේ වාඩි කරවන්න. I must tell you I am going to walk the talk and I know you all are going to walk with me. Thank you. Please don't make that presumption. Don't presume things. No, you have. You just said no, SJB is going to walk with you. Not at all. We will go through the debate.
Please go ahead with you.
We will never ever walk with people who have
Please go ahead
betrayed the
with your
country.
question.
පහුගිය ජනාධිපතිවරණයේදී මහමැතිවරණ ලබා දුන්නු ජනමතයට ඒ ජනවරමට
A
සම්පූර්ණ
speech that contradicts the mandate of the people
ඒ
is
මන්ත්‍රීවරු අප්පුඩි ගහමින්
MPs
අසා
are
ඉන්න
applauding
එක
it.
ටිකක්
The reality on earth will win against the dreamland of the president.
ලෝකයක් පොළොවේ යථාර්ථයත් අතර ජයග්‍රහණය කරන්න ගරු කතානායකතුමනි පොළොවේ යථාර්ථය.
A protest organized by the All Ceylon General Fishermen's Federation was held at the Kotalavala Bridge in Nigambo. The protest was organized against the government's failure to compensate the fishing industry affected by the Express Pearl disaster.
News first with the people.
Sri Lanka's foreign ministry said that ensuring the safety and security of Sri Lankans stranded in the Republic of Sudan is the primary concern of the government of Sri Lanka. Now, yeah, okay. Sri Lanka Foreign Ministry said that Sri Lanka continues to monitor the evolving security situation in the Sudan and is closely working with its international partners, including the government of India and the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, to evacuate the stranded Sri Lankans. The Embassy of Sri Lanka in Cairo and Sri Lanka's Honorary Consul in Khartoum are in regular contact with the relevant parties in Khartoum, including the Sudanese authorities and the Indian Embassy in Khartoum, to secure safe evacuation. As of this morning, 13 Sri Lankans who were evacuated with the assistance of the Saudi government have been received in Jeddah by the Sri Lanka's Acting Consul General. 12 more Sri Lankans are in Port Sudan awaiting evacuation. The government of Sri Lanka is making every effort to evacuate the remaining Sri Lankans in Khartoum, taking into account the need for safe passage in a volatile security situation. The Embassy of Sri Lanka in Cairo can be reached via email slcairoconsular@gmail.com and telephone +20 12 728 13 000. The Secretary of the Honorary Consulate of Sri Lanka in Khartoum, Said Abdel, can be contacted via telephone +24 99 123 94 035 for any immediate assistance.
There are no signs that the warring parties in Sudan are ready to seriously negotiate an end to fighting, the UN envoy to the country has said, as the shaky 72-hour ceasefire was partially holding, though armed clashes were reported in strategic locations in the capital Khartoum and elsewhere. UN envoy to Sudan, Walker Perthes, told a UN Security Council meeting in New York City on Tuesday that both sides in the conflict believe that they can secure a victory. Residential areas in Khartoum have been turned into battlefields where gun and tank fire, air attacks and artillery shelling have killed at least 459 people, wounded more than 4,000, cut power and water, and limited food distribution in a nation where a third of its 46 million people had already relied on food aid.
Now in international news, according to the National Security Council, the ISIS-K leader who planned the deadly 2021 suicide bombing at the Kabul International Airport's Abbey Gate was killed by the Taliban. Moving on with more international news, Singapore has executed a man for conspiring to traffic cannabis despite pleas for clemency from his family, activists and the United Nations.
His family said Thangaraja Supaya, 46, was hanged at Changi prison at dawn on Wednesday. Activists said he had been convicted on weak evidence and had limited legal access during his prosecution. The authorities said he had received due process and criticized activists for questioning the courts. Singapore has some of the world's toughest anti-drug laws, which it argues are a necessary deterrent to preventing drug crime. Last year, the country executed 11 people on drugs charges, including an intellectually impaired man for trafficking heroin. Activists say Singapore's stringent drug laws and use of capital punishment put it increasingly at odds with other countries in the region.
Now in your sports news, centuries by Sri Lanka's openers have given the hosts hope against Ireland in the second test in Galle. Sri Lanka replying to Ireland were 228 runs for the loss of 1 wicket in 48.4 overs in their first innings. Nishan Madhushankar remains unbeaten on 104 after recording his maiden test century. Skipper Dimuth Karunaratne scored him the 16th test century and reached 115 and was dismissed off the bowling of Curtis Camphor. And with that, we wrap up lunchtime news here on TV1. As always, thank you for watching, stay safe and take care.